All right, boys and girls, here's the first modifications to the 2021 Rzr Pro XP. This is the Rockford Fosgate limited edition. 181 horsepower stock from the factory. We already got a few add-ons that I didn't get pictured or get video of, but front and back window, you can see the cargo boxes in the back. We have added some mirrors, added aluminum roof, changed out the stock tires to be up Goodrich mud terrains, added the fill-in panels for the doors, and rock sliders or rocker guards. Well, somewhere around 1800 RPMs where it actually engages that. About 4,200 RPMs at 25 miles an hour. About 4,700. Alright, so that's reinstalled. A little plastic cover goes on it. And you turn the key on. 30 seconds. Once the key's on for 30 seconds, you turn it off for 3 minutes. So let's count that down. Probably throw the seat back in while we're waiting. Maybe. Once we hit that 30-second mark, we'll shut it off for 3 minutes. Okay, 30 seconds, now off for 3. I'm gonna put the seat back in and put some tools away, and then we'll get back in here and get her started up. All right, guys, our 3 minutes has passed. She runs, no high idle. Engine lights. No funky sounds. We'll take her just for a little putt around the block, make sure everything's good before I tear into the clutch. You know, you want to have a neutral starting point with any of these projects. At least I do. In case something was to go wrong, you didn't do 5 things at once. So 15 8mm bolts. These bolts actually stay in the cover, and you're into the clutches. See the primary and secondary. There's a spring for each, and then obviously your weights go in your primary. I don't know if you can really see them in there right now, but we'll get it apart, and we'll show you how that goes. So we got the primary cover off, and the stock spring. We got the secondary ready to come apart. Slide the cover off. Sit it down, not put it on the air hose there. And then you slide the other half. So what needs to be done is compress this. Take these 3 bolts out, pull that spring out, and put the other spring in. This thing's only got 136 miles on it, but you can see where it was already slipping under stock power. It slipped pretty good. I wouldn't be doing this probably if it wasn't for that, but slipping pretty bad right off the, and you can see it's got some belt on it. So we'll get some steel wool and polish that up a little bit. This clutch setup is light years ahead of the rest. As far as Polaris go. Taking this cover off, this whole shroud is aluminum. No flexing, no crap. Cover slides over it, and you don't have to deal with, you know, what everybody was complaining with the belt slap with the Generals and stuff. They're not hardly possible with this unless something's completely grenaded. So far I like it, other than they don't build it with enough tension, so you got to add better springs. Obviously, we're adding power to it as well, so we need that for that. But even from the factory, it needs more spring tension. So if you have a turbo of any kind, the 21s actually switch to all Pro clutches. So if you have a turbo Polaris of any kind, whether it's a regular Rzr, a Pro, an S, or whatever, basically they have this issue. All it is springs. The springs are pretty cheap and easy fix, but yeah, so if you're going like 50, 60 miles an hour and you stand on it, it slips. And this thing will run 85 out of the box with the limiter. So now we should be up around 100. 99, I think, is what Gilomen says it shuts down at. And we will be trying that. So all you need is some threaded rod, all thread, whatever you want to call it. Some big washers, or you can buy the kit. That's really all it is. Tighten it down, remove those 3 bolts, which I already did. Replace your black spring with the blue spring from the kit. Like I said, I'm gonna go through and clean this up a little bit. Well, only 130 miles on it. It's definitely been slipping. The 21 has an updated helix already, so that is not needed. So we'll get this all back together and torque down and give her a try. After some good fighting and a fair amount of swearing, I got this thing off. We got the new, so these are the old weights. We got the new Block Max weights in. So the Spider, I thought would come right out real easy without taking the outside of the primary off, but it really doesn't. So if you guys are doing this and you're trying to pull the Spider out to save time, because especially on a new machine, like I said, it's got 130 some miles on it, the outside of the primary comes off really, really hard. But I could not get the Spider out without taking the primary out because it's splined. So I just kept having to pull and pull and pull until I get the splines to break free, and then the whole clutch comes off, which it does make it easier to work on. So if you're doing this and it's the first time you had it apart and the machine's quite new with not many hours on it, not many miles on it, you're probably gonna spend a fair amount of time swearing at it, trying to figure out how you can get it out of there without breaking it. Like I said, I did get it. It was not a lot of fun. Just keep turning the clutch, pulling, 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 turning the clutch, pulling, pulling, pulling. Eventually you'll keep seeing it sliding down these splines. Once the splines get to the end, obviously it falls right off, and I would assume it's gonna go back on way easier. There's these little buttons here on the end. Make sure they're all on. That's what fits inside of this. So you wanna make sure they're all on there correctly. And then as far as the weights go, same as any other clutch, just got the bolt that slides through that it pivots on. Make sure everything operates smoothly before you throw it back together. Clean the clutch faces, and I did a little bit of SOS on each one, so we know that it's all good, and any belt slipping that it was doing before is, with the new belt and the shivs cleaned up, we'll be good to go. So we're gonna get her back together and take her for a test ride.